Suzanne Taylor King is our next speaker, and she's going to talk about kind of habits, right? You're going to talk to us about getting out of our way, getting out of our own way, and putting some good habits in. So, guys, you've been troopers, hang in there. This is great stuff. So, oh, good. I'm glad you joined the Facebook group. Awesome. All right. So yeah, for those who haven't, anybody who hasn't yet, please join the Facebook group so we can continue the conversation on that. And with that, I'm just going to hand you the microphone, Suzanne Taylor King.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Let's take a quick stand up, stretch those legs, get that circulation going, and refocus our attention. I stand up every 1,000 seconds, or I stand at my standing desk. It's one of my habits, and you're going to learn all about a bunch of habits today that are going to increase everything we've already talked about today. So I have an awesome presentation for you, and I'll definitely take questions at the end. So just do a little stretch, arms up over your head, maybe a squat or two, touch your toes, take a nice deep breath. And thank you, Ashley, Gus, and all of you for being here today. Woo! All right, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to jump right in to my presentation. Can you see my screen? Are we good? Awesome. All right, today I am going to take everything that's already been talked about today and give you some habits and strategies to not only make you a better leader, a better mentor, and give you more confidence to do your networking, to do your connecting, to do your job, to deal with your husband, to deal with your kids, all of it. And I want to just say thank you for having me here today. I'm super excited for this talk. So, Soul Force Energy, we're going to close the gap today from where you are to where you want to be with habits and routine. And one of the things about this, and here's my little tips, if you want to take a picture of this slide, but I will also put the PDF version of this presentation in the Facebook group for all of you, and then you can have it and keep it. And if you ever have any questions about anything I talk about today, just hit me up on social media. I'll give you all those links at the end. So cultivating soul force energy, closing the gap. And yes, it sounds great in theory, right? Yeah, I want to lose weight. I want to exercise. I want to stop smoking. I want to wake up earlier. You know, all the things that not only as a leader, as a working mom, as a woman who feels like she has to overachieve to be, you know, successful in the workforce. But I want to say there's one thing, and this is not my research, this is factual research in the field of positive psychology and neuroscience. There is one thing that makes successful people different. There is a secret sauce for success and personal fulfillment. Might look a little slightly different for each person, but it comes down to embracing the good habits and adhering to routines, whether it's a morning routine, a nighttime routine, a digital sunset routine, which we'll talk a little bit about that today, that lead to successful outcomes. And it's no different. Richard Branson is the same as Oprah. Oprah is the same as Gus. You know, like it's no different. We're all doing the same things, but maybe in a unique combination. And all the work I do with my clients, and I'm going to talk a little bit about me in a second, all my work centers on creating the habits that are right for you, not cookie cutter habits. It has to be right for you and it has to feel good. In order to motivate that soul force energy, now I want you to close your eyes for a second, and I want you to imagine you as the best version of yourself. And I mean that body-wise, dress-wise, feeling-wise, mindset-wise, career-wise, love-wise. And when you feel that person that you're capable of being, the space between who you are now And who you just imagined being is the space where anxiety, depression, and stress live. That's Abraham Maslow that says that. So today's talk is going to be part mindset, part motivation, and I'm going to talk for about 40 minutes today. And I promise you that you will feel more energized. You'll be willing to make new goals, and you can use this formula to take your habits to the next level. And it is a mathematical formula, and I'm going to explain all of that goodness. All right, the big idea is that we are going to hit today closing the gap, and not the gap between the platform and the subway. For those of you that have been to London, we're not going to mind that gap. We're going to close the gap between who you are today and who you would like to be. How to achieve your most important goals, not just writing them down, not just journaling, and not just manifesting, but actually how to take action and achieve those goals. Through that process, you actually become healthier, more radiantly alive, and the best version of yourself. Now, I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek behind the curtain here. COVID, I gained weight. I think we all did, right? Let's raise a hand. Who ate more, who drank more, and who sat more during COVID? Yep. So that does not affect, so the number on the scale does not affect how I feel about myself. It only affects how the jeans fit, which is really cool place to get in. And it's taken till I'm almost 55 to get there. So it's really possible, but it requires some work. So creating masterpiece days is our final thing that I'm going to talk about today, and how creating one incredible day per week leads to another one and another one. And the more you commit to doing small things, they add up. They have a compound effect. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today too. All right. Who am I and why should you listen to me? So if you can see this picture, this, it's a professional picture done by a photographer, but what can you tell about that picture about me? I'm fun. I love to laugh. I used to be a dental hygienist, so I've never had a cavity. So there's some pretty white teeth in that picture, which is cool. But something people say when they see these pictures of me is that, oh, I can feel your energy. I can feel your positivity. And I don't know if you notice that when I talk. I use my hands. My voice goes up and down. These are all the things I use to build rapport with people. And look, I want you to like me, but I really don't care if you do or not. I'd rather affect some motivation in you and some change in you. You might not like me as a person, that's okay. But if I've affected some change in you, job done. So who am I? Coach, mentor, wife, mom, surfer, and a little bit of a rebel. I think I secretly wanted to be a rock star when I was a kid, but I couldn't sing. So I ended up being a dental hygienist. I spent 20 years in dentistry, and I got the bug for wellness in the dental practice. Decided to move into wellness coaching, holistic habits, nutrition, fitness, and could not figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And that led to over 15 different certifications in all of the things I just mentioned. And I had no idea what I was doing. And little did I know that that love of being an entrepreneur and starting and selling and failing miserably at some businesses really put the bug in me to start my own business again. And my husband was not very keen on the idea 12 years ago, but I kind of just did it anyway. And I've had more failure than success, more loss than most, from a child to parents to every member of my family except me. I've conquered chronic disease and reversed the diagnosis. That's a whole nother presentation. I am willful, independent, and super outgoing, and I tried to hide those things for a long time. And through my love of learning and personal development, and Stoic philosophy, I realized my strengths, and I'm going to ask you to realize your strengths today. And maybe, just maybe, you'll become a little obsessed with becoming the best version of yourself and not worry about the wrinkles on your face or the extra lumps on your butt, and really just go out there and live your best life. All right. Now, first, we are going to learn how to physically flip the switch and close the gap. Now, flipping the switch is a positive psychology term, which I absolutely love. I had you do it when we first started today with me. I had you stand up. So that's one of the first tools that you're going to walk away with today is flipping the switch. If you're stressed, if you're angry, if you're frustrated and you're sitting, stand up. If you're standing up, sit down, run, move, walk, change your physical presence, and you'll be amazed at how quick your mindset can change. And it allows you to actually get in a different frame of mind by changing your physical presence or your physical being. Sometimes a shower, sometimes stepping outside. And if that allows you to flip the switch to a more positive state or a less angry or a less frustrated state, you get to live up to your potential, not scream at your kids. What do they call that when your kids just finally, and then your head, the top of your head blows off? Yeah, you can't achieve your goals like that. So by flipping the switch, we get to do that much faster. It requires practice. I'm not going to tell you that you're going to walk away today and be able to do it instantaneously, but with practice, it can become a real time habit. And every day when you flip that switch and you get a little closer to being that best version of yourself, and it could be as simple as walking into the kitchen and you're hungry for something, but you don't know what, and you grab cookies and you stop yourself in that second and change your physical position, maybe do a couple squats, change your body position and say, am I really hungry for cookies? Or am I just bored? Or am I just angry? These are the little tricks that I'm talking about. All right, first, let's get really clear on your potential. I just have to move everybody's head there. Let's get really clear on your potential. So if you have a pen and paper, awesome. I want you to pick a goal today. I want you to decide what's that number one thing that you need to achieve. Need, and I hate to say have to or should, but need in here, need to achieve that will fundamentally change your life. And look, the first thing that popped into your mind, that's probably it. So if it's smoking, if it's sugar, if it's you need to start exercising, you need to start meditating, this goal will require you to show up at your best. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. And this is why New Year's resolutions typically don't work. We stick with it for a month, maybe 6 weeks, and then we're right back to our old habits because you haven't done the work that I'm going to have you do today. So if you're willing to go on this journey, you will come away with at least one soul goal, and it will give you the strength and the courage to use all of your tools in your toolbox to get you to that point. Anybody want to come off mute and share a goal that immediately came to their mind?
I can.
Go ahead, do it.
My two goals came straight into my mind. I want to fit on a size 10, and I want to raise $500,000 for my startup.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you're going to love the next part. Thanks for sharing that. That was Yami, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. So, oops. I want to go forward. Okay. So, you need to have clarity to get to this goal. What would you do if you could not fail? I have a client right now who is the same age as me. And she said, well, if I couldn't fail, I'd become a bodybuilder. I've always wanted to do that. And I would lift weights and I would become the best version of myself physically. And I said, do you want to do that? And she was like, yeah, it's really scary. I don't think I can do it. I said, well, what if I told you if you had all the tools and you followed the directions of the people who went before you, who've done it before at your age, that there's no way you could fail? She said, I would totally do it. I only stop myself because I think I will make a fool of myself and not be successful. So what would you do if you could not fail? This is about stretching yourself to that point of being a little uncomfortable, because guess what? You only find satisfaction when you get a little uncomfortable. Because imagine achieving something that you didn't think you could do. Imagine achieving something that you've always wanted to do, but nobody encouraged you. That's one of the great things about coaching. That's one of the great things about having a community of people like this who are doing bigger and better things. You get that encouragement. All right, so let's explore clarity. First, number one, desire. And I don't mean sexual desire. This is desire in here from your heart, from your soul, from your gut. What is that thing? What is that image of yourself that makes you a little nauseous, that makes you like, oh, gosh, if I'm like that, if I'm rocking a size 10 pair of red leather pants, I can collect $500,000 for my charity, right? That's a desire that's like an intrinsic thing. So desire's first. And I love this font. I don't know what it is, but I need to research that. Okay, so here is the secret equation. You're going to want to write this down. This is through some work with 4 or 5 different coaches over the years, and it kept coming back to the motivation equation. And the motivation equation is motivation equals value times expectancy times delay. And I'm going to explain this and I'm going to add to it a little bit later. So motivation, we all need motivation, right? Otherwise, I'd be sitting on the sofa watching Netflix, totally obsessed with a couple shows over COVID. We all were, right? There's lots of shows that we spent a little too much time watching TV. But in order to have motivation, we need to get up off the sofa. We need to take action. So how much do you value the action? And then do you expect to succeed? That goes back to what would you do if you knew you could not fail? You have to expect success or you're not going to have motivation. Make sense? All right, let's go on to energy, work, and love. I've broken life down into these 3 areas for my work as a coach over the last 12 years. I find that almost everything fits into these 3 categories. And when I do my daily journaling, I have my clients journal. We journal in these 3 categories: energy, work, and love. I'm going to ask you today, you could have some version of those. You don't have to use my exact categories, but decide how you want to show up energy-wise. And I'm going to use me as an example because it's going to bring it right home for you. Every day under energy, I decide I want to show up today as a vibrant soul force. To me, that has a special meaning. It means I show up, I'm positive, I'm fun, I'm funny, people can feel my good energy. And if I'm going to show up as a vibrant soul force every day, what do I need to do? I need to eat right, need to meditate, need to sleep, need to drink enough water. And I need to not get stuck in my own stories of not being good enough and not being worthy. And if I do that, I get to show up as that person. work-wise. I decide who I want to be every day, whether I'm off, whether I'm working, whether I'm doing something like this, or whether I'm actually working with clients. And love, super important. I love my clients, I love my friends, I love my family. But every day I decide I want to show up present, connected, and aware with everybody that has a piece of my heart. So pick 2 or 3 things, truly epic things for each category that you would like to improve. And then think out. And positive psychology asks us to be prospective about the future. We don't want to look at the past. We don't want to predict what's going to be right now. We want to be happy about the future, about those things that we see coming in the future. So look at your life 3, 6, 12, 24, 100 months out. And how do you want to be showing up? And take action today by deciding who you want that person to be. And if it involves losing weight, getting healthy, advancing in your career, you can show up as a leader, like Carly talked about, showing up as a leader, even when she had an entry level position. She was showing up every day for the position that she wanted to have. I'm asking you to do that in every area of your life, whether it's parenting, relationships, most of all, your relationship with yourself. All right, now how do we get this clarity? This is the hard part. You have to get quiet. You have to turn off your phone, turn off the TV, turn off work, be alone, and get clear on that deep intrinsic desire that you have for yourself. And other people's opinions don't matter. And give yourself a reason to believe you can achieve it. And then we're going to talk about whoop. I love whooping. If anybody's heard of whooping, it's how we really process and evaluate outcomes. And it's kind of fun. So let me go into whoop a little bit. W stands for wish. What's your wish? O is the outcome. What's the outcome you're looking to achieve? And then what are the possible obstacles? What barriers are likely to get in the way? And then P, make your plans. Make your plans ahead of time for the obstacles. All right, I have 20 pounds to lose and I'm going on vacation really soon. Well, my wish is to lose 20 pounds before I go away on vacation. The outcome of that, all my cute little shorts will fit and a sundress that I want to take with me. That's my outcome. All right, cool. What are my obstacles? The Oreos in the kitchen and the red wine that's on tap in my bar. So what do I need to do to plan for those obstacles? I need to plan that there's not going to be any wine right now. I'm going to drink water instead. And I'm going to give myself a reward for every week that goes by that I don't have Oreo cookies and I don't have wine. And I go for a couple mile walk with my neighbor who's also going on this vacation with me. So that clarity of not only, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to have carrots for lunch and then have a cheesesteak for dinner because I've lost all my willpower. I'm actually whooping it. I'm making a plan. I'm anticipating the outcomes. I'm anticipating the obstacles, and then I'm planning for those obstacles. All right. Now here's some reflection and practice of everything we just talked about. We talked about soul goal and how to incubate those goals. Quiet time, alone time. Oh, there was no H in whoop. It's just wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. We just include the H, and it's supposed to be WHOOP. And cookie jar. This is really fun. It's an activity that you can really bring home your good habits, your positive wins. I put a jar in my kitchen. My son is 12. And whenever we have something really exciting that we share with one another, like, oh, this amazing thing happened today, or, oh, I got a new client today. Oh, I got a corporate contract today. Really cool. I write them down on a little Post-it and put them in the cookie jar. And we have family dinners at least 5 nights a week. And we pull things out of the cookie jar. We celebrate each other's success. And it's really, really cool, not only to do with kids, but to also do with yourself, to remind you of the things you're doing well. Take that reflection time and do that. I do that in the morning, my deep work time. I reflect on those soul goals. How do I want to show up? Energy, work, and love. And then a goal wall is another thing that I have clients do, whether it's a vision board type thing or maybe just Post-it notes. I love Post-it notes. I have 6 here on my desk right now about some future things that I have in my mind I want to create. And I'm looking at, I have a workshop in Tampa in November, and it's a storytelling workshop. Oh my God, so fun. I'm going to be right in my element and get to tell fun stories and encourage other people to do the same. So what are your goals? Energy, work, and love. And hopefully I've inspired some journaling today. All right. So now that you have soul goals, I'm going to ask you to go on a quest to achieve these. Now, years and years, and I'm going to totally date myself because I took off for almost a year when I was 24 and did the kind of, laptop lifestyle thing, except there was no laptops then. It was called bartending. I took off and I went snowboarding across the country and to Europe, and I lived in a bunch of different places. And what happened during that quest time is that I discovered who I truly was and what I wanted to contribute to the world. And this doesn't have to be a year off from work and your family. It can be just a 2-hour window once a month where you spend some time getting clarity on what your mission and your quest really is. And here's some facts for you about committing to your quest and your soul goals. 9 out of 18 people, so about half, are willing to make heroic quests a thing. They're willing to get vulnerable, get real, and actually achieve and go for those things that they really want to do. And the most common regret of the dying is not being the person they are capable of being. And that's a known fact. It has nothing to do with money. It's always, I wish I had had the courage to be who I was meant to be. And 5 out of 18 people, so less than half, will actually take what you learn today and commit to doing and living as that better version of yourself. So where do you fall? All right, let's reflect and practice on that. Do we want increased energy? Do you desire increased energy? Do you want to be a vibrant soul force? If the answer is yes, the formula is simple. We have to practice living as that person every day, and we have to win. Win stands for what's important now. It's the most common question that I ask myself at least 20 times a day. What's important right now? You know, those times when you're working and you get overwhelmed, or you get sidetracked, or you get squirreled online. Well, come back to that question, what's important now? And it will bring you back to that center of what is actually important, and all the rest can fall away. All right, this is one of my favorite clients of all times. And we started working together probably about 6 years ago, working on her business and her concept. And she now is a good friend, no longer a client. She moved from client to friend to business partner. Our podcast we do together, and her inspiration and effect on me and my healthy lifestyle has been amazing. And one of the things that she says all the time is this quote, it's her business mission statement, is that good habits and healthy routines are the tools that help you close the gap. And she keeps it really simple: eat real food, make good decisions, and be accountable. And if you don't have somebody to be accountable to, being accountable to yourself in your journal every day is really the first place to start. Now, let's get into the science of motivation. The science of motivation, you have to have the expectancy, which means you're going to believe that you will be successful. You have to have the desire, and the desire to lose 20 pounds or to quit smoking or to get a new job has to be stronger than the negative reward. And I want to talk a little bit about negative rewards for a second. Negative rewards, I usually go to sugar for this example, because sugar gives you a reward. It gives you a drop of dopamine and a drop of, energy, and it might send you a little hyper or a little sparkly, right? Kind of like caffeine, same thing. It's not different than illegal drugs. It's a negative reward. You're getting something for doing that negative habit. And no matter what your negative habit is, whether it's biting your fingernails or, not working when you should be working, you have to be getting a reward for that negative behavior. And this is what requires a little introspection. Like, what is the reward that you're getting for being 20 pounds heavier or for continue smoking? And smoking, I want you to think about the rewards of smoking, and not the nicotine, the breaks from work, the going outside, the standing talking to friends who are also smoking. That's the negative reward. And typically it's not cigarettes that people want to give up. It's the habit and the rituals around it. Same with sugar, same with any negative habit that we're looking to get rid of. And your motivation, that equation we talked about, needs to be at least 86% to be effective. Now, how do we do that? How do you get that motivation up, up, up so that you feel it without, I want to say, I read a book about a Navy SEAL. The book is called You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. If you don't like foul language, don't read the book, don't listen to him. But he's a super motivating guy when it comes to fitness and belief in himself. And he went from 300 and some pounds to 165 lean and got into the Navy SEALs. But he had the motivation of getting into the military that increased his expectancy that he was going to succeed, and he had a ton of value on this. This was the only thing he wanted to do. So his value and expectancy was up, and he had no delay and no impulsivity, which that means he took away all the obstacles, what could possibly make him not succeed, take all of those things away and start right now. So by taking away delay, you actually increase your motivation. If you need help in that department, I have another book for you. It's called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. It teaches you a habit to get into of not procrastinating, not delaying, whether it's a chore, whether it's dishes, whether it's folding laundry. And I don't know about you, that's definitely something I'm great at cleaning laundry, not so great at putting away. So I work on that. Oh, you follow him. Awesome. Love to hear that when I have resources. All right, let's talk about grit. Now, what's going to get you down? What's going to set you behind? What is going to really be required of you to have bigger and bigger goals for yourself? It's grit. It's not caring if you fail. It's not caring what other people say. It's not being affected by the people around you that say, why are you doing that? That's silly. That's too much work. And grit is really just, well, I feel as though it's bitchiness redefined. Being so clear about what I want, you're not getting in my way. And I like that. That feels badass to me, to have grit and resilience. I like the word. Sounds fun. Like, I want to be her. Great. Embrace it. And let's explore grit. How do I get more? How do I be more gritty? Well, you have to have passion. You have to have practice. You have to have purpose. And most of all, you have to have hope, or that prospection for the future, that my outcome, my dream, my goals, I will be successful. Which I love that. One arm push up, maybe someday. All right, now, since hope, I love hope. It's a positive psychology strength. And if you're looking to increase your hope, if you're one of those people that talks about the past all the time, oh, she said this, he said this, he did this, this happened. If you're full of those stories, you need more hope. So I can't stop people from being negative or being filled with drama, but I can give them more hope, which kind of outweighs the drama and the stories and the negativity. You see where I'm going with this, right? Increase the good habits. Don't worry about getting rid of the bad habits. Increase the good ones, and the bad ones kind of slide away, especially when we're dealing with negativity and lack of motivation. So hope requires goals. We talked about those. You already have those written down. You're going to work on those. Agency, which is really the self-awareness that you can do this. And, if you just use today as a motivational talk, awesome. But if you look at it as though, gosh, I can make these goals for myself, and it's up to me. I have to have the agency and the awareness that, hey, I might be sabotaging myself by not exercising or not eating right, or whatever your negative habit is, because you're actually afraid of the success that you're capable of. And agency will help you see that and recognize it. And then, of course, the last driver of hope is the pathways. And what I mean by pathways is there always has to be a plan B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, let's not get so set on, I want to be this. And if that exact thing doesn't work out, or you fail, are you going to give up? Or are you going to tweak and pivot? We've all done a lot of pivoting in the last year and a half. Zoom, for instance. I mean, many people hadn't even been on Zoom until a year and a half ago, and you learned how to do it. So it's about having different pathways to achieve your goal. All right, now let's recap. In order to have those pathways, we need to play that role we've decided well. So if you want to be a vibrant soul force, you want to be an athlete, you want to be a CEO, wake up tomorrow and be that person. Mind, body, soul, attitude. Increase your motivation with the motivation equation. Work on your grit and your heroic hope. You can easily have more hope for the future with passion, purpose, motivation, and playing that role well. You see how it all kind of goes together. All right. I want you to write down now all of the things I talked about today, the whole pathway that I talked about, to give you more of these soul goals, more hope, more positivity. What resonated with you the most? Was it that you have a lot of things you want to achieve? Was it that you only have one that you want to achieve that means the most to you? And what is your plan to implement first? I do have a worksheet for you, which I will share in the Facebook group. It's in Google Drive, so I'll share that, and I'll share it in the chat as well, so you can have that to work on your goals. And now I'm going to do questions and discussion. But before I move to that, I want to just give you where to find me. Another awesome picture by my photographer, SuzanneTaylorKing.com, Suzanne Taylor King on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Suzanne Tailored Consulting. My Idea Lab for the Entrepreneurs is my community on Facebook, where we talk about all this fun kind of stuff, plus tons of business things. You can email me, or hey, if you really got motivation from Whitney's talk, pick up the phone and call me and ask me your question. I dare you. I love it. I love that she did that.
I love a good dare.
Yeah, I love a good dare too. This is the last quote I want to finish up with. The future belongs to those who truly believe in the beauty of your dreams. And I hope today that I gave you some really valuable tips and some motivation to kind of push you along towards those dreams.
Suzanne, thank you so much. I think,
You're welcome.
it all looks like one big lump to most of us, right? But when you can like break down the ingredients to see how the meal comes together and what you need to do to kind of make it work, it makes it feel so much more doable.
Well, thank you, because
I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but I'm just like, oh, I could do this. I could totally do this.
Well, I want to just say thank you, because it's been a long time to take everything that I've learned over the years and kind of digest it into, a formula. And every person is unique, and they typically start at a different place in the formula, but it really is a science of becoming happier and more positive and more outgoing and more confident. And everybody's kind of a little different where they need to start. So thanks for recognizing that.
Thank you. Well, and it's interesting, Sam, if you can jump in and ask that question that you tossed in the chat, because it's a great one.
Yeah, because and I struggle with this all the time. I have so many things I want to achieve in the different areas that, like, I'm always wondering, so how many things, can someone successfully do at one time? And obviously there's research in this area, but I always want to do more. So I'd love to hear your perspective there.
Well, first, I would encourage you to find out what your saboteurs are. So those are the things that could possibly come up and get in the way and hold you back. You can take an assessment at positiveintelligence.com. It's a totally free assessment that'll let you know your top, saboteurs. With that being said, we all have saboteurs. So, it just kind of depends where you fall on the scale, which one. But one goal at a time is typically, but I'm an overachiever too. So when I decide to get buff and, get really back in, it's all or nothing. Like the alcohol goes, the sugar goes, the exercise starts. It's like everything at one time, fire hose style. So it really depends on your personality, and if you're willing to really push yourself to achieve, 3 max. And by attaching those new habits to existing habits. Say it's affirmations you want to start doing every day, attach them to brushing your teeth because you already brush your teeth twice a day. So I could say a lot more on that, but I'll stop there and see if that spurred any more questions.
Suzanne, if you could, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
No, I was just saying thank you so much. That's helpful.
Awesome. Suzanne, what was the name of that website again? Was positive what?
Positiveintelligence.com.
Thanks. I'll put that
And
in
I
the
can
chat.
share that in the Facebook group as well. And if you're interested in learning your character strengths, I can share a link to that assessment as well. So, when you start becoming more introspective in yourself and your strengths, your weaknesses, I don't know, I like having scientific information that tells me, oh, okay, so my top 3 strengths are love of learning, duh, look at all the books in back of me, right? Sense of humor and compassion and empathy. Okay, well, that makes sense that I ended up becoming a coach and I came from healthcare and I used to tell jokes to my patients. Like it so made sense to me that it gave me more insight into myself. So, anything you can do like that really helps.
Awesome. Yami had a question as well. You want to pop in there?
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. It was very inspiring. I always can relate, but my problem is I am good at going to the gym. Actually, that's not my problem. My problem is it gets to be 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm working on something, and I want that French fries, or I want that wine because I'm like, listen, mind if I'm let me just indulge in that wine. And then getting myself to stop is like really hard. 9 out of 10. And then another thing is sort of my motivation for always losing weight has been this idea of oh, I want to get married, or I want to look good, or you know what I mean? It's always attached to someone else. But then when I attach it to me, I don't want to do it. So then is it really a desire? I just want to hear your thoughts on those sabotagers that I've encountered where it's I'm up at 3 a.m. and then if I don't attach it to a specific marriage outcome or ex person liking me more, then I don't.
Okay. So 2 things. Are you up till 3 a.m. or you wake up at 3 a.m.?
No, so usually I'm up until 3 a.m. and then I wake up at now I'm waking up at 10 a.m., which I don't like either. And then it makes me feel horrible and it's all a cycle. Okay.
Do you stay up on purpose or you have trouble falling asleep?
No, I usually stayed up because I am trying to get stuff done for the startup.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like you have some boundaries with digital detox time and work time. So 2 resources on that. A book called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. He talks a lot about a digital sunset. It's a tool that I turn electronics off at 7 p.m. I only check email once a day. So look, if you email me at the address I gave you, I only look at it at 1 o'clock. Today I made an exception because I was waiting for an email from Ashley. That's different, but email not on my phone. I have all these boundaries that I've created for myself around digital time. And then 2, when you're tired and you're not rested and you're not listening to your circadian rhythms, which you're not when you're up at 3 in the morning, that's when willpower drops into the toilet. That's when a glass of wine sounds like a good idea, so I can fall asleep and disconnect. And then chocolate cake seems smart too, because you've had a glass of wine, right? It's a cycle. We can only make good choices and decide what's best for us when we're well rested and well nourished. So that would be my thoughts on there.
Thank you. That was helpful.
You're welcome.
That's great. I think, the importance of remembering we're the ones driving the ship, right? Or we're the ones driving the bus or driving the whatever. We're the, So if you need to stop, stop. If you need to
Yeah.
go. But just remember, it's you who's making the decision to do those things. And
Yeah.
I thought Donna asked a really interesting question. Donna, are you willing to unmute yourself and throw that out there?
Hi,
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
I'm good, good. So here's my question. What if you really don't know what you want to do? I know you
Mhm.
said like if you couldn't fail, what would you do? But I really can't think of anything lately. I'm in meetings
Okay.
and that's kind of gone south. It was a bad year and so I'm a little burnt out on the meetings and events.
Mhm.
And I just,
So are you looking to do something else career-wise?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would do some career exploration. There's numerous different websites. I don't know them off the top of my head, but if you just do a Google search for career insights, and maybe even doing the character strengths test would help you, which I'll put the link in the Facebook group for that. That character strengths, what comes naturally to you, and our tendency as humans is to look at what we're not good at, and like I'm the last thing on my character strengths is prudence, which is no surprise because I'm definitely not a prude. So the tendency as humans is to look at that strengths list and say, well, what's at the bottom, and let me improve that. But by looking at what's at the top and saying what comes naturally to me, that might give you some insight into what drives you and what comes naturally, and then exploring some options of other things that you can do. Like what strengths do you bring to the table? What currency do you bring to the table?
Okay.
How's that feel?
Well, that feels good. I know I have a lot of strength. I just don't know how to put them together. I'm a great worker. There's so many things, connector. But I could really relate to Whitney. Oh. So anyhow, yeah, I'll work on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you'd like to brainstorm it, I'm always happy to do that.
Thanks, Suzanne.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I'm so glad that you asked that question, because I know when I was early in my career, I was really frustrated because I had no idea. Like, well, what do I want to do? It's like, I don't know what's on the menu, like what's out there. And I was kind of going with the Suzanne rule, or like when we start thinking about like, well, I'm pretty sure I don't want to be a lawyer. I'm pretty sure I don't want to do this. But I didn't have like, well, then what is there? Yeah, please do. Gus is gonna hop in.
Yeah, and Jill
Mr. I've had a
asked,
million jobs.
Yeah, but I love this. I love this question. I love this idea. And Donna, thank you so much for coming with us. I believe we met you up at the Encore a couple weeks ago, and we're in the events business too. But I ask people a question all the time. If you had all the resources you need to do whatever you wanted to do, and I usually put that number at about 25, $30 million, and you're making more money than you know what to do with, or can even give it to charities, because once you start giving to charities, they don't do what you think they should do with it. But anyway, if you go on and you get there, what do you do with your time? I travel the world. Yeah, that gets old too. Everything gets old after a while. But what do you do with your time if you had all the resources and then work that backwards? Being an event planner, I know being in the events industry at all, because I've been doing it for 20 years myself. I know you have a lot of skills. There's a lot of cool things. Even Whitney, do what Whitney does. If you want to get started in that job, go out and interview the local kids around the neighborhood. Go interview your friends. Go interview somebody, and post it someplace. And then, like, I guarantee you'll be excited when one person looks at it or two people. Look at it. That's cool.
Yeah.
But as I asked that question to a lot of people, they say, "Well, I'm not happy in my job." And what was the commercials that used to be on? When I grow up, I want to be a middle level manager. Yeah, nobody says that. Nobody wants to do that. We work a lot with the utility industry, and when we do the events, especially in person, I always say, "How many of you really wanted to work in a utility company when you grew up as a kid?" I think I've asked that question to 5,000 people, and I haven't seen one hand go up to 5,000. But that's the thing. We get caught, and Suzanne just talked about it. You get mired in your own stuff and caught in your trap. And Suzanne, you're a lot like me. We could probably go head to head on how many jobs we've each had and different career.
Yeah.
But I've always done something till I no longer have fun, then I do something else. And always
Yes.
work. And I always have fun. So anyway, that's my advice on that. And I'm here to
Love it.
go.
Can I add something to those points? But then you hear the counteractive of this. Like I've like read books by like motivators, like people that have trained the top athletes in the world. And what they say is do something and do something really well. And like focus on that one thing. And then if your goal is to be like, I don't know, Beyonce type of person, you need to concentrate and you need to do it really well. So what would be the counteractive to that? Because I hear that. Like nobody says, oh, I want to be a mid-manager at a company. But then you realize that, oh, well, I get enjoyment from my kids. So I'm going to balance that out. And then eventually, but like I'm 25. And like, I realized that I hated corporate America. So I jumped out of corporate America. And then now I'm doing the startup. And there's things about the startup world that I don't love, but it keeps me like doing different things and engaged. So I like it. So my thing though is what happens when you get to a point in your life when you're like, you jump ship and all you hear from people is like, then concentrate on one thing that you're really, really good at, because that's the only way that is going to make you X amount of, change in the world, or what, to tie it back to like what the first presenter was saying, to change the order of things, like you hear over and over that you just need to focus.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the balance
Well,
is.
I would say you're 25, and at 25, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I still don't know what I'm going to end up being, when the day comes that I stop working. But I do know that everything I've done before today makes me better at what I do today. And it really took probably about 10 years ago, realizing that my job as a lifeguard, my job as a dental hygienist, my job as a fitness instructor, a nutritionist, a receptionist, and like all the things actually, plus all the life experiences, right? And they're like, more failure than positive. All of those things made me better at what I was choosing to do right now. And if I decide I don't want to be a coach anymore, I could easily transition into consulting or get another job as a corporate trainer. Like I could take the skills are universal that you grow and you develop. And I mean, I have a certificate in Reiki, but do I use that? No. But am I attuned to people's energy? Yes. And that's very handy in my job. So I think just keeping an open mind about the skills that you're accumulating, especially in your 20s and your 30s, and being open to it sounds a little woo-woo, but being open to what the universe puts in front of you. And maybe this nonprofit is your thing for the next 10 years, and then maybe you decide to do something else, and just being okay with that.
Yeah. I'll add in. So my 25th birthday was my worst birthday. I was not the multimillionaire I had envisioned myself being, and I'm more than twice that age now. By 28, I was a multimillionaire. By 30, I was bankrupt. One thing I learned, I'm sure Susan can attest to this, your goals change as you progress through life. What you thought you wanted, and then here's the other thing: once you achieve that goal, you need bigger goals and more goals and better goals, and tools that get you to that other goal. Or they're probably not going to serve you. They're going to help you, but they're not going to serve you 100% to get to the next goal. You need more tools, and you need mentors, and you need people to help you get there. And you got to, what's your mission? What do you really, really want to do in life? What do you want to accomplish? And it's funny because you sound like me. I want to be my own boss from the time I could talk. And then, I went out into corporate America as a petroleum engineer, and I had a great job making a ton of money. And people were like, I want out. I want to be my own boss. And then I was out on my own. And then I had to grovel back at 30 years old into corporate America. And I hated it, but I looked at myself as Gus Incorporated doing this as this chapter on life into where I'm going to get next, and just have to accept it. But you're in control and making those decisions all along the way. Being self-employed is not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not.
That's great. I mean, I think the key there is just again coming back to like you're the one driving the bus, right?
Yes.
This is your life, and what I where I see so much tie-in with everybody today is, you know, Carly mentioned, like, you know what, sometimes you're going to do stuff and your family's not going to like it, friends aren't going to like it, your colleagues aren't going to like it, but you need to, like, you're responsible for you, you're answering to yourself. Make sure that you've got that
Yeah.
that yourself
Yeah.
is
And
the board.
Jill did ask a question in the chat about disconnecting fully. Yes, that goes back to the Digital Minimalism book by Cal Newport. He's the world's leading authority on digital minimalism, teaches a course on it at Stanford. He's amazing. And setting that, you have to make electronics hard to reach. So for instance, my phone is like right here. So if you think you need to digital detox, I want you to notice how many times you touch your phone every day. How many times do you pick it up and just go, It's probably about 1,000. It's ridiculous. So having it out of sight at nighttime, my phone stays here on my desk once it gets to be that time of night, and I don't come back in and turn it on. So that's my best tip for that. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say it becomes, and it's a habit for you now. Like, it's not
Yes.
something that you started. I mean, it wasn't always that way. You had to put that into place. So
yes.
and
the thing that made me into it was my son was 6 or 7, and I went away on vacation without my phone, like seriously left my phone at home. And on the 3rd day of vacation, he said to me, "You're not working this vacation?" And I was like, "Oh my God, no, I'm not. I'm here with you." And I seriously, it made the biggest difference to me to realize that he actually noticed that I had my face in my phone quite often.
Got it. Awesome. Suzanne, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You know, everybody, if you're on camera, can give a nice clap.
Thank you.
Suzanne, if you could also put the book that you just mentioned about the digital